Welcome back to Temeria. This is Tor, and we are once again taking the reins of the powerful kingdom of Temeria and trying hard to become the savior of the north, defend the northern realms against the southern menace of Nilfgaard. However, before we get back to our war on two fronts, let's check up on an old friend here. His name may be familiar. Oh, there he is. This is Geralt the White Wolf. You may remember that in the last episode he left our kingdom, and I believe that King Foltest is keen to have him back, so we will invite him back to our court. You know what they say, keep your friends close and your assets closer. So Geralt will undoubtedly leave the Dryads here and come back to Vizima. Maybe we can put him to some good use. And in the meantime, we have a war to win, actually two. One being waged against Cadwyn or Kedwen here in the north, and one against the treacherous Baron of Maribor, Linus, who rebelled and wants to. What did he want? This is. Oh, he wanted to increase council power. I remember now. He wanted to curtail our enlightened rule and put this realm one step closer to mob rule, I guess, and we will be having none of that. So let's start slowly here. This army needs to get back to the southern front in just a little bit. I will let them stay here until the siege ends. That they are actually pretty close to crushing this the crew of this castle. So I'll let them sit and finish the job there. A destitute noble from a former enemy court asks for hospitality, and that would cost us 56 gold. Or we can just let them stay for a bit, and then I don't think we need stray nobles right now. We should conserve the money in case we need mercenaries to defend from you-know-who in the south. Alright. Did Geralt? He did accept. Great. So now we have Geralt back in our court, and we can employ him to do various things. We will not employ him to raise money for the kingdom, but this is an important decision. Let's pause here, and the siege has now completed. Great. Before we get back to directing our armies, let's pick a steward, because the last one died, I think, as we were waging war in the north. So who do we have here? We can make the druid Kristoff our steward. He is a rather good administrator. That's good. But he is also something of an outsider. I don't think Foltest would trust a forest-dwelling druidic sort with his money. So let's turn to somebody more properly bred, let's say, one of our subjects. This is the Baron of Lavalette, who, if you remember, we are currently trying to murder, so no use for making him a steward. So let's instead tap the Count of Vidort, who is also a pretty able administrator and ambitious, which helps. So he should do well. Did that lock it in? Yes, it did. All right. Now back to our war. We will move this army back. Okay, let's attack his capital in Maribor here. I don't believe our wife needs any more help, so we'll let this war conclude on its own. And if we need help at any point, we can call her to our aid, which will be a nice reciprocal arrangement here. But I don't think that's needed just yet. And in the meantime, we have apparently done enough good deeds to become distinguished. Our prestige rose above 500 points, which means we get to pick a new ambition. Let's see, what do we have here? Groom and heir. Currently, our distant relative would inherit. We don't have a legitimate heir yet. That would actually be a good idea. In case Foltest, cannot complete his mission in his lifetime, which I think he's well aware may be the case. This is an ambitious task after all. We would want to have a continuator of our agenda in place. We could amass fortune, which would boost our stats, but that's a pretty steep 1,000 gold. That would take a while. Or we could be publicly seen as pious. Nope. Seek fame and glory. That could work as well, but I think we should actually go for an heir first. Maybe when these wars are over, Foltest and the wife could get together, you know? We have a message from the Brocelian forest telling us during our wife's recent visit, we had a great time discussing the similarities between our people. I don't think Foltest would agree with that statement too much. I suggest a non-aggression pact between our people for the near future. Yes, we definitely don't want the Brocelian forest to expand, and it's going to take a while until we can even attack them. And even if we do have the resources, I am not sure that would be such a wise idea, because these forest dwellers have a pretty decent bonus to combat when they are on home territory. So I have a feeling this area here will remain independent for quite a bit, even as we expand our kingdom here. Okay, now our army is slowly getting back into central Temeria. Meanwhile, these guys have concentrated their forces, and they have 7,000 troops, which is a little bit more than we have. Let's see if we can muster anything more. I believe last time I mentioned that we would leave some of our troops behind, instead of sending everybody to the war, which appears to be paying off now. That should be 2,000. Well, not quite, and that's about as much as we get, unfortunately, which is... Oh, there's a smaller detachment here, which may be able to link up with the main force if we steer them in a sort of sensible route here. Okay, they would arrive here, and that's about 2,000 troops. That seems like what we're missing currently, but that means we can't just rush in, and we would need to wait a bit until our own forces gather. Now that's something I have to, you know, it's a testament to Foltest's able rulership. The ongoing civil war has caused both loyal veterans and various adventurers to make their way to Vizima for the muster. So we're actually getting free, or I should say we are getting support from our loyal subjects, which is excellent, just what we needed. Let's immediately send them to meet up with our forces, and that may actually mean we don't need these troops from the south. Let's see, once they're gathered, you know, we would order the army to assemble in nice neat ranks, inspect our forces, and then see what we would plan next. But first, our spy master thinks he can discourage one of our vassals from plotting against us, which, if we take a look at the factions tab here, is actually happening quite a fair bit. But the Count of Vidord, I don't think, is one of the plotters currently. He also doesn't like us very much. I would say let's ask and see what happens. And now we know where he stands. Honorable King, do not speak to me about obligations and duties. I may be your vassal, but that doesn't make me your slave. Well, let's see about that, shall we? We will mark this little toad as a person of interest. This is the one we just made steward, and you can see the ungratefulness in this one. That's actually while we're at it, marking characters as special interests. Let's keep an eye on Geralt here as well. Our forces are now numbering in the 8,000s, which means we can pretty much go for direct confrontation if there isn't a river crossing here. Yes, and there is one, except for, oh, actually from all sides. So that means we would actually have to attack from the south? Yes. Well, this is Foltest carefully studying the maps of the region before ordering the march. And that's how we are going to actually approach the battle. And these forces can start heading this way. And he is not part of any plots, so we will not do anything here. This progress bar shows how far they've gotten to, or how close they've gotten to breaking our forces defending the castle here. Fortunately, we are just about to relieve this siege. And Geralt, isn't he a restless soul? He is a bit. He wants to leave again. Let's allow him, because there's actually no other choice. And the battle commences. We can now see the two kings, or rather the king and this traitorous baron here face off against one another, and as expected our forces prevailed, which means we can storm Maribor. And as we are gathering our forces after the victorious battle, we received word that up in the north, our plot to rid us of the Lavalette, the head of the Lavalette family, is ready. Our co-conspirators have procured a poisonous viper. This is, well, classic. I like that. Hope it proves to be successful. There is a chance with these plots that I would be discovered, which then would be a stain on my honor, but Foltest knows very well that sacrifices must sometimes be made, and that's exactly what happened. So the Baron of Lavalette is dead. Unfortunately, the serpent was caught and the seller has revealed my complicity. So good but bad, as Foltest remarks here. We are now... we've gotten rid of this traitor, and his relative has replaced him. This red fist here shows that he is unhappy with the fact that he's not part of the council. We may actually want to bury the hatchet at this point and award him a seat on the council if he's any good at anything, but he is not, which means he'll just have to stew and wait. Now, the war is progressing. You can see that while our army is besieging his capital in Maribor, the traders are trying to capture this strategic point here. In the meantime, we haven't really looked at what's happening in the north, because that war was pretty decisively swung by our army in the favor of our wife, and she has indeed prevailed, which means we have a secured border there. Let's see. This is an adventurer of sorts, somebody who gathered a band of mercenaries, actually coming from from within our own borders, and trying to attack King Stennis to take over. What this is? Oh, they're trying to take over something. Some other territory, but he also has a claim on part of our domain. Might be interesting later down the line, and Foltest is not very much interested in that. Good luck, but with 1,000 troops, that doesn't really bode well. Oh, 2,000 now. He's gathering forces. that's not gonna end well for them, I don't think. We have captured Maribor, or at least part of that holding. What I'm gonna do now is repeat the exact same maneuver that has won us the battle last time, and with a bit of luck we'll get there before the defenders break and surrender to these dogs here. And that should get us pretty close to crushing the revolt. Once this is dealt with, Foltest, I believe, would get back to plotting his northern, or rather his expansion. We have lost a vassal, and his son, yes, his son has replaced him as the Baron of Bavin. Fair enough. We are at 97% war score, which means winning one of these holdings here should be enough to finally force the traders to surrender. Good. As that's happening, let's take a look around and see what else should we be doing. Oh, we've appointed a new steward, but didn't tell him to go to work, which cost us some time and money. And now that Maribor, the city of Maribor, has fallen, we are in a position to actually enforce our demands and imprison most of these traitors here. Good. Now, this is when I believe Foltest would want to make absolutely sure everybody understands what happens to traders. And so we would normally want to revoke all these titles. Unfortunately, something about the laws of our realm doesn't allow that. But we can, I think we can just change that. See, that's why we had the war. They wanted to increase the power of the council, which would require any sort of major decision, a war declaration or a law change to be voted on by the council. But since we are a benevolent absolute ruler who's wise and all that, we can just declare the changes we need to have in place in order to fulfill our mission of saving the North. Now, this is actually going to cost a fair bit of prestige, so let's be strategic about this. Foltest would want to send a strong message but not necessarily spend all the goodwill that he has with his people. So what we're going to do is revoke the Duchy of Maribor, because he, the count here, was the head of this whole unfortunate mistake. That's one. And then do we get to actually take his county? Yes, we can. And that wouldn't be so bad. Because we currently directly control just two provinces, Vizima and Old Vizima, so these two around the central lake here, around the capital. And in order to really become the powerful ruler that we need to be, we would need to expand our influence and expand the royal domain that we administer directly. So that would take some rearranging of the feudal positions that our vassals hold. But I will not bore you with that. So all of that will happen off screen. And I think that's where we'll put a cut. We've nicely dealt with the rebellion in the south. We have we're in a good position to get back to our scheming to attack our western neighbors, and actually start expanding, building our bulwark, our little empire here, and continue the efforts to build a dynasty in... Wait, what happened to... Did I miss... Did I miss something? How did... It seems like... Did she lose that war? Did I misread? Wow, okay. Foltest must have been very busy with that war in the south to miss all this happening. But hopefully we can get all this territory back when our son or daughter inherits in a little bit. In the meantime, let's have the Kedwen king, be happy with his conquest. How did I misread that? Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, along with the blunder at the very end, or the revelation that we just lost a war that we thought we won. Interesting. Or maybe she just submitted for a different reason. Not sure. Anyway, if you like this little show, and if you'd like to support a good cause, there's going to be a link to the School of Life fundraising campaign that I run for Witcher School. You can chip in. You can get more information about the cause that we're supporting, people with cerebral palsy, and for all those who watched this as they were packing for Witcher School, which starts in just a few days. I hope you have a great time at the event, and I hope to hear all of your stories about it really soon, because unfortunately I'm not going to be there. So shout out to everybody in the Witcher School community. Stay tuned for more Let's Plays and more adventures of Foltest, the surprised king right now.